when I vomited into bed, I just laid in it. I'm not even fucking with you.
Daddy, chill.
Are you mocking my fruit by the foot? Fruit by the foot is the shit. What are you talking about? It's excellent. Excellent. I can't help but be racist. It's true.
I am Calypso, and I thank you for playing Twisted Metal.
Well, welcome to Pumpkin Time, fellas. Welcome to Gabbing Games. Look at that nice Trey Trimble, beautiful opening to the show there, Gabbing Games. I want to let you know it. Hey, oh no, don't copyright me for that. I've been on a Alanis Morissette binge lately, and that's one of her good songs. She has some really good songs. Anyway, the point is this, fellas. Welcome to the show. Good to see everybody. I hope you're doing well on this Friday before Halloween. We were going to do our Gabbin' Games Halloween special tomorrow, and then I realized, right, a cab says Halloween is Tuesday. I was like, oh shit, let's just do it Monday. So the Halloween special will be 2 o'clock Monday. Maybe I'll stream some stuff this weekend, maybe not, but I'll give me a little more time to prep for it. Maybe I'll do an I Love the Weird this weekend, so I'm going to move schedules around and stuff. JoJo D made a wonderful trailer I'm going to put up later today for that Halloween special, so stay tuned. Also, I want to give you a quick heads up. We'll start the show in just a second. I've been having some internet issues. My internet is blazing fast now, but it's caused some weird things. Everything's going crazy on my computer. Anyway, the point is, if this goes offline, don't even worry about it. It may take 5 minutes to get it back, but you'll just hit refresh after 5 minutes. I'll be back. So, bring Stiltskin back, says Christopher Gorley this weekend. I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, sir. I don't know who Stiltskin is, but welcome everybody. Good to see you. Jeffy, I got to talk with my divorce lawyer Monday. What? You're not married, motherfucker. What are you talking about, Rob the Mod? By the way, I want to say that Bukkake Drive-By is here. Bukkake, where are you?
Oh, let me tell you something, honey.
Hello.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Yeah, Bukkake, welcome back.
What's going on, man?
I don't know. Just making a show. What are you doing? What do you have you decided to step up and tell all your employees at work that they need to dress up, or you're not going to be a man and do that? Your T's too low this week.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it's a fucking grocery store. I don't think anyone's going to be in the spirit because that place sucks the soul out of you.
Oh, does it really? What's the worst part about working in a grocery store? People want to know. People demand. Customers they're probably assholes every day you have to deal with, right?
I mean, yeah. And that's not a big deal. People aren't usually mean to me because I'm a big guy, but
okay.
You get some once in a while.
What's the worst part then?
I mean, it is the people. Like, especially those self-checkout machines. People don't know how to read. Like, it'll tell you what to do on the screen, and they'll just stand there and yell, and be like, this fucking piece of shit's not working.
Wow. Yeah, people are idiots. Fuck them all, Bukkake. One is
I agree.
Bukkake, Brett Moore says, always sound like he just woke up. I don't know, because maybe he did, man. I'm not his fucking mom. I don't know what the fuck he's doing.
I just got out the fucking gym, bro. I don't know what the fuck Brett Moore's talking. What were you doing, dude? Eating Cheetos and jacking off? Don't come at me.
Listen to me. Crack Hooligan's been a member for 18 months. Colt Calypso, thank you, buddy. He says, hey, did you ask Colin on the DL who they poached, as per Last Stand Media's tweet? I'm sure I don't know what you mean, sir. Craig Hooligan, thank you so much, though, for all that support for all that time. I sure do appreciate that, buddy. It's very generous of you. But I know exactly what you're talking about, and I don't really know what you're talking about. Speaking of Colin Moriarty, before we kick off the show, we are about to start. Congrats to Colin and Micah. I always get it wrong. Micah, because Micah's on Morning Joe. They're getting married of Last Stand Media this weekend. I'm not a big wedding guy. Plus, it's in Virginia. I got a nice invite. I was kind of thinking about, do I want to get on a plane? Not really. Do you like going to weddings, Bukkake? Did he die?
No, not at all.
I don't like
Well,
it either.
I don't know. It depends. If they got open bar, sure. But if I have to do anything, no.
They have an open bar. He says open bar, because he was telling me, he says he's nervous, but he's only nervous about the guest having a good time. He says, because I want to make it a really fun wedding. And he said it's open bar, very high grade liquor. It's kind of jokey and stuff. He's like, when you come into I don't know, I think they're having it outside or something. Like there are, have a seat, but it's a picture of Chris Hansen from the To Catch a Predator. So it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek wedding, although it's obviously a very serious wedding in the sense that it's celebrating something serious. But that'll be this weekend. So the next time you talk to Colin, you know what's weird about Colin? Oh, is my mic really loud? Should I turn it down? Hang on. Why don't you go fuck yourself? Yes!
Maybe they mean my mic.
Let me tell you this, Linda.
Okay, hang on. Is that better? Why does it say Alan Wake is 60? Because I paid $60 for it last night, but we'll talk about that in a minute. No, Bukkake's too loud. Okay, not me. Okay, yeah. Here's what's fascinating about Colin and Micah. Is it Micah? It's Micah Brzezinski. It's Micah. Okay, it's Micah. So his last name is Moriarty. Hey, Ricardo Estevez. Hey, man, how are you? Oh, I got to ask you a question. I'll send you an email in a bit. His last name is Moriarty. Her last name is Watson. What in the fuck? Right? I mean, somebody needs to, their baby, maybe they'll name their baby Sherlock if they have a baby, but that's kind of coincidental, don't you think? Like maybe they were meant to be married. They were meant to be coupled. Just those names are too perfect. Or am I just reading into it, Bukkake?
I don't know. You read too many romance novels.
I read a lot of romance novels.
I know. Every time I DM you, you're like, "Oh, sorry, I was reading Fuck, I can't think of a funny title, but you get the gist."
Well, I did take a writing class right out of college, and the woman who taught it was a real successful romance novelist. She wrote under a pseudonym, and she was just like, "Look, here's the deal. I know a lot of you guys are here to write sci-fi and fantasy and all this shit." She's like, "Let me just tell you something. If you can write a romance novel, they don't take that long, and you'll make fucking bank." So I've never read one. I've never wanted to read one. But hell, maybe if times get hard, maybe I'll start writing some erotic fiction. I bet I would be great. I'd be terrible at it. I would be awful at it. Because, I mean, I don't understand. You know why? Because I'm filthy. That's why. Because I'm XXX rated. A lot of people, it's like, you've got to be able to get that Walmart sensibility of just enough that the housewife knows what you're talking about and she starts to get moist in the nether regions, right? But you can't be so vulgar that you go over the line with it and then you're just like, yeah, he stuck his cock into her, and you just can't do it. You can't do it.
They use every word except cock and dick.
That's right.
To describe a penis in those novels, like rod or fucking.
And I think you have to be. I think that's part of the skill. I think that's totally part of the skill because you can turn people off if you're vulgar, unless they're ready to go. Then if they're flooding like a fucking, summer hose sprinkler system. I was going to say waterfall, but Chris Raygun put up a great joke about waterfalls and women being moist on his Twitter, and I don't want to rip him off. So the point is, though, welcome to Gabbin' Games. Appreciate you being here. Let's talk about a lot of stuff. Here's how this show is going to go. At the moment, there's not tons of news today, but we might end up having a lot of news, so we'll see how long the show goes. If there's time, there's some games I want to play at the end, and I'll talk about those. And obviously, Alan Wake 2 is one of them. We'll get to that in just a second. I was on Colin's show recently, and he mentioned to me this article, PlayStation's 2024 release schedule is already a joke. And I wasn't following it because I was still reeling from how insane October has been for just amazing games coming out and just spending tons and tons of money. But I went to this, and he's not wrong. Look at this. This is the first 2 months. Alone in the Dark, Prince of Persia, Like a Dragon, Tekken 8, Suicide Squad, which I think it's delayed again. Helldivers 2, Remastered Tomb Raider, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And then coming in the first quarter, maybe beyond the first quarter, is like Black Myth. It's not as bad. And I think Star Wars Outlaws is going to get delayed and pushed. But it's still like, man, it is insane the fact that I bought Alan Wake 2 last night. I downloaded it. I got excited to play it. And then I woke up and I was just like, I want to play more Spider-Man. I want to fucking finish Spider-Man. That's just the kind of just treasure that we have right now as gamers. It's absolutely excellent. Ricardo says Starfield, Baldur's Gate 3, Lies of P, Spidey 2, Mario, Alan in a row. We're eating good. We are, but I'll tell you, I mean, who's got the fucking time? Who's got the fucking time? Lutron says it's another second party carry year. Well, yeah. I mean, come on, man. What is happening at PlayStation? I don't fucking know. I mean, I know some things I can't say, but what I can tell you about that is that it is staggering that, and this is not correct, maybe Bukaki knows, but I saw somebody tweeting that the only game first party put out this year from Sony was Spider-Man 2. That's not right. I mean, they put out MLB, which was an absolute massive hit. And then obviously Spider-Man 2. Did something else? Didn't
they lose their exclusivity for MLB?
No. I don't believe so. When did that happen? They agreed to do it if it would put it on Xbox and all these other services.
Well, yeah, but I mean that's what I mean. Like you can play it elsewhere.
Well, yeah, but they're still making tons of money, and it's that game is insanely good for people who love it, and it does incredibly well for them. It's in the top 10 games of sales all year. Of the year so far. But was GT out? GT was not this year. It was just those. Because
I'm trying to find a list.
Yeah, because I was surprised that was all they put out. And Ricardo in the chat is like, quote, only Spider-Man 2. Well, yeah, only because it's one game from the first party hardware manufacturer. I love Spider-Man 2. Right. Ricardo says Horizon DLC was out as well. And then I guess you have the PSVR 2, but I mean, I don't really think that counts. But the DLC was not my cup of tea, but it's fucking gorgeous. So, okay. It is weird, though. The point is that it's like, and I don't think this is anything new that I'm saying, but it is kind of fascinating when you think about just how anemic their output has been this year. And I did put up that poll yesterday, and I was like, well, okay, now knowing what you know now, what do you think if you're going to buy a current gen piece of hardware this Christmas holiday season? Would you go with the Xbox, the Switch, or the PS5? Now, part of it's my audience, but the vast majority, I think it was like 60% would go with the PS5. And I love my PS5. If you're buying it for exclusives, you may not have a lot of stuff, man, to play. You have both, Bukaki, or what do you have?
I've got everything. I got
Okay.
PS5, Series X, Switch, and PC.
What do you play more right now? Do you play your Switch more, or do you play your X more? I mean,
I play
your PS5.
I have not touched my PS5 in like a while, but I'm playing the X right now because Starfield's on Game Pass, so that's
right.
where most of my gaming's happening.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I went on a trip, so I took my Switch. I also have a Steam Deck, but I don't know. It's a heftier thing, so I just took the Switch.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen to this. I forgot to get this yesterday. This is from our member, Awesome Tatum. Thank you, buddy. I'm sorry I missed your super chat yesterday. He says, now that Spider-Man 2 has some hours from you, when are you jumping on Cyberpunk? Right. You're right. I don't even know when to fucking play that. I was going to play it over Thanksgiving, but I want to finish Baldur's Gate 3, which I absolutely fucking love. So, A, Awesome Tatum, thank you for the support, buddy. I very much appreciate it. And B, I don't fucking know, but I have a feeling that Cyberpunk really just feels like a holiday game for me. Like when everything's kind of quiet and shut down, that's where I want to get lost in Night City with all the bells and whistles. Do you have a Thanksgiving game, Bukaki, that's coming up? Or you don't you'll probably still be playing Starfield?
No, I'm getting to the point with Starfield where I'm like, okay, I need this shit to end. You know, like I'm trying to do all the side quests, but it's getting kind of long in the tooth now.
Okay.
For me, I'm thinking probably Cyberpunk because I liked it when it first came out. Like I played it on PC, so I never really had any issues. And everyone's saying that it's like so much better now after the update and after Phantom Liberty.
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Even the first big update was amazing. But this new update is apparently even better. Zero Signal says it's funny. Everyone got on Sony's ass for crunching, then they stopped crunching. Now everybody wants them to pick up the pace. I didn't get on their ass for crunching. What did I say? Crunch. That's how you win. That's how you do it. Now I get a lot of people don't want to crunch, and if they don't want to crunch, they shouldn't. But you're not going to compete in this business if you don't go above and beyond. And I get it. Not everybody's built like that, and they shouldn't be. But some people are.
You were the only guy with that. Like everyone else was like, "This is terrible. This is awful," and you were just like, "If you don't want to crunch, you're a fucking pussy, and you're gonna make shitty games, dude."
Well, I didn't say it like that, but I did say though that I agree it is awful. It's terrible.
You did have the highest T opinion about it.
Goddamn right. You goddamn right. But and I will say I think Insomniac's found not perfect, but they're the best balanced out there. Brett Moore even says, why is Insomniac the only studio putting out games? And here's the reason. Because they're following a very smart formula, which is we build a lot on what we did before. We give the teams the freedom to play and be really creative when it comes to what the game is and design, but we're sticking to the genre, the rules of the genre, the rules of kind of what we've already created. And so, and you see that in Spider-Man. Even if you've played Spider-Man and you play the little spider robot missions, which are much improved from the first spider robot missions in Spider-Man 1, my guess is that whatever team, whether it was North Carolina or Burbank or whatever, did the Ratchet and Clank robot missions, which is pretty much the same, but they're more involved than Spidey. They just basically said, okay, we want you to kind of give us an upgrade. And it wasn't an issue of like, let's start that from scratch and let's start this from scratch. So I can tell you that if I'm Sony and I want to stay in the AAA game, in which I hope they do, to some extent, I hope they look at what Insomniac's doing. Like, I mean, you could take the God of War team at this point and go, look, put God of War on the back burner for a couple years. It's tired. In my opinion, you may not agree, that's fine. But in my opinion, it's kind of tired. But they've got this beautiful engine. Just get a great fucking IP or make your own IP, but basically give us, Ragnarok with better pacing and like 30% new stuff, right? And I'm not saying they're not doing that, and I'm not saying what I'm saying is so brilliant. I mean, it's called just sort of, you build off your shit. But Insomniac seems really disciplined in doing it. It's not like every time they step up to the plate, they have to reinvent the wheel. Those are weird metaphors to mix, but there you go. That's what I would say, Brett, to your question. But yeah, Insomniac is the one company out there that I think we can point to that is doing it right. To be fair, God of War is Sony at this point. I mean, kind of Pixel, but I think also, they have Last of Us, they have Tsushima, they have Spider-Man. Jaffe, Insomniac games are all dropping on PS Extra. Just wait for it. All their games eventually will, Alex. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on, though. Halloween is this week. These are two very fast stories that are not about video games. Sorry, fucking sue me. But they are about movies. If you have Shudder, and I haven't seen this yet, and if I do move the Halloween special to Monday, maybe I'll watch this with members this weekend. When Evil Lurks is what people are saying is the best horror film of the year. It is now out today on Shudder. It is by Demian Runga. It's subtitled. It's from Spain. But what I will tell you is that his last film was called Terrified, not Terrifier, Terrified. And it was really bizarre and weird and disturbing. But they say this is the one you want to see if you're into the horror movies. Also, you know what else I heard? Remember Prey? Did you ever see Prey on Hulu about the Native Americans fighting the Predator? Bukkake?
That movie was fucking excellent.
Yeah.
Loved that movie.
Well, have you heard the new one they're doing?
Yeah, it's like during World War II or World War One or some shit.
One. Can you
Or the Civil War?
No, World War One. Can you imagine
okay.
Predator being on the goddamn cock-a-doodle battlefield?
I'm loving this
World War
new
One?
like slate of Predator movies that they're just kind of like an anthology where they're just like, let's just drop a Predator in some fucking historic location and see what happens.
Where should we drop them? Let's see. Drop the Predator on the 9/11 planes and see what happens. I mean, Naw Dog says it's World War II. Okay, where could you put Predator that would be really fucking cool? I mean, I think the Civil War would be great.
Originally, that's what I heard Prey was going to be. That it was going to be during the Civil War, but I guess they just changed it to like the Wild West. But...
No. The first Prey was Native Americans.
Yeah, I know, but like I think it's around that time period, right?
Okay, yeah. There were some cowboys in it. Easy says Egypt. Egypt would be kind of cool. Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be. I would like to see like them on like their home planet or something.
Boogster just fixed it. Boogster just solved the problem.
On the Titanic.
Put Predator on the Titanic, he says. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Obviously you can't do it on, ooh, Samurai says Zero. Fuck it, let's quit the show and go make some Predator movies.
That would be sick. I'd watch it.
That would be. And it turns out it was like, no, it wasn't an iceberg. That's just what we told people. I want to tell you really what happened on Titanic. Fuck James Cameron. It was a fucking Predator. Come on.
One of the problems I have with like these properties is they always do really cool things in like the comic books that nobody reads. But when it comes to the movies, it's like, it's still a cool premise, Predator in World War II. But like if you read the comics and shit, they got predators that keep like the xenomorph aliens as like pets and shit.
Yeah,
that just, like hunting dogs and shit like that.
There's very little budget, right? So you can do all kinds of crazy shit. You know who I feel bad for is Dan Slott. Dan Slott was. We're not going to get in. We're going to get to games in a second. I'm sorry, fellas, but he was the guy who wrote the first big successful. He wasn't the first guy to touch on multiverse, but he wrote the Spider-Verse stuff in the comics. And I don't think he's making a dime from what they've done with it. But if you ever want to read a great just omnibus of comics, read his Spider-Verse stuff because it's just batshit. It's fucking crazy as shit, man. He literally has bad guys going to kill Spider-Man from like the 70s TV show. They go to the Hostess Twinkie ads and kill the Spider-Man in the Hostess Twinkie ads. I mean, it's just like, the fuck is this? It's crazy and delightful. The other thing I'll tell you is, somebody in the chat mentioned Terrifier 3. So if you go see, and I love Art the Clown, Terrifier 1 was brilliant. Terrifier 2 felt like a snuff film probably feels like when you watch it. But Terrifier 2 is being re-released in theaters next week. And they're going to show you like a 3-minute trailer of Terrifier 3, which apparently is a Christmas movie. But I don't think the messaging's been a little weird because I don't think it means it's this Christmas. They're just saying it's a movie set at Christmas. I'm not quite sure, but regardless, I love it. Look at the poster. He's literally taken Santa Claus's face off Santa Claus's fucking face, and he's wearing it around his neck like a goddamn Easy-E clock. Come on now. This is brilliant. Terrifier 3, I had no idea it was coming, says Gravedigger. Yeah, the first two were great.
You mean Flavor Flav clock, dude.
Is it Flavor Flav? I don't fucking...
It's Flavor Flav.
Whatever. I grew up in Compton. Fuck you. I get a jail-free card. I didn't grow up there, but I did go to school there. Saw my first dead body in Compton.
Sick.
Yeah. It was really... it was bizarre because it was not dramatic. It was just this woman, middle-aged Mexican lady sitting behind the wheel of her car, and she just had one tiny little hole in her head, in her forehead, and a little bit of blood trickling out. So there was nothing cinematic about it. It was just like, lights off, and that's, somebody had shot her.
That was your first victim.
That was the first. Yeah. No, we used to drive around when we heard ambulances because we lived, downtown LA, And we would be like, we were a bunch of bored college kids, nothing to do. It's like, let's go chase the ambulances. And we did. And we saw a lot of crazy shit. Anyway, Terrifier 3, it was fun. Where is it? Terrifier. No, I already showed you the poster. Terrifier. Yeah, apparently you can get this poster if you go to, I don't give a fuck about posters. But if you like posters and whatnot and such shenanigans, you can grab this when you go to the movies. If you see Terrifier 2 as it gets re-released. Buzzati says, I thought Terrifier 2 was really cool. The scene in Terrifier 2 where he goes into that girl's bedroom and then the mother comes to see where her daughter is, and Art the Clown just has her skin peeled and she's still alive, barely. And she's still moving around and stuff. I mean, come on now. That was just wonderfully horrifically wonderful.
I never seen this second one yet. I saw the first one, thought it was good, so probably watch the second one at some point.
Second one gets by on going over the top with just nastiness. I think the first one has more just sort of a heartbeat to it, but the second one has some interesting lore to it, and it's nasty as fuck, man. By the way, real quick, this book, let me go to the big screen. Cliff Bleszinski's book, Control Freak, is now out in paperback. I bring it up because he dropped the news yesterday that it's in paperback. And I was reminded I never finished this. It's really good. It's really honest. It's not like a fluff piece. It's nice to see Cliff open up. I did not know, because I did a whole thing with him. If I would have finished the fucking book, I did a whole book club with him about Gears of War 1. And I never asked him. He's talking at the end of the book about, where does he say this? He says he was anxious about saying, let's do Gears of War. Like, that was his big pitch. And he knew if it failed, he's never going to have his day in the sun. And he'd been chasing his day in the sun for a long time. But, you guys know. And he said the reason he was motivated to, anyway, here it is. Excellent book. The reason he was motivated to finally just go into Tim Sweeney and say, I want to do this, is he thought back to high school and junior high and the kids who picked on him and beat him up. And he said, that was all I needed to go, fuck it, you know what, maybe I'll fail, but I'm going to fucking go out guns blazing with my best pitch. And so he actually names in the book the kids who bullied him. It was Cody Thompson, Lee Perez, Rotten Tanuki, Zach Procrastinates, Alex Plotz, and Eddie Torres. You goddamn right, the gods of war of gabbing and games beat the fuck out of Cliff Bleszinski. Come on.
Very well done. Very well done again.
Come on now. Cody, Lee, Rotten, Zach, Alex, Eddie, thank you guys very, very much for all you do to support the show. Okay, so here's the plan. This is a game called Don't Scream. It launched today in early access or a demo. I'm not entirely sure, but I got it downloaded, ready to go. So if the show runs short today, we will do this game really quickly, and then we'll jump to Alan Wake 2. What's neat about this game, you may have seen this, is that it first off, it uses the Unreal 5 engine. So that's the real reason that I'm excited for this. But apparently you walk around and it's filled with jump scares, and you use your microphone, or your microphone has to be hooked up. And if you scream, or not, like, I don't know what it constitutes as a scream or defines as a scream, you have to, it resets you back to the beginning of the level. So it's basically like, can you not scream? It's a novelty probably, but we'll give it a look. And then obviously the big game of the weekend, it's crazy that this is how much good stuff is coming out, is Alan Wake 2, which the last I checked was sitting at a 88, 89 on Metacritic. People say it's excellent. I'm looking forward to it. We'll play a little bit of that today, depending on how the show pans out in terms of time. Okay. Alex S. wrote this about Alan Wake 2, and I want to ask you guys this question. Because I bought it. I'm not some super rich guy, but I do well enough that I don't sweat dropping ducats on games, right? But a lot of people do, and even if you don't, you still want to get good value for your money. Here's what Alex S. wrote on the YouTube. He says, for those wondering, this is about how long it takes to beat Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 takes roughly 12 to 13 hours, I guess according to various people, to beat for an initial playthrough. Now I'm scratching my head if that's enough time or is it too short. Now this is not a new debate, but it is interesting because I know Spaz was saying you can get Alan Wake for $50. I didn't pay $49.99. I paid $59.99, got it on PlayStation, and it was not the advanced or the deluxe edition, so I don't fucking know. But regardless, though, I mean, in some ways it seems very petty to say this game, as good as it is because it's over in 13 hours, wait for a sale. But at the same time, if you can get Starfield, if you can get The Last of Us 2, if you can get Spider-Man, and Spider-Man's not that long either. But you know, if you don't get a lot of games every year, I get that you would go, I want to spend a lot more time with this. And it sounds like other than New Game Plus, you don't get to really do that with Alan Wake. Ravno says rating games by hours is silly unless it's a full price and under like 8. It's silly for you and I because we're fucking grown-ass adults and we have jobs and we can afford it and it's not a big deal. But if you are not well off enough that, you know, you feel $60 or $70, which means, I must have bought 7 games this month. Most people don't do that. So I get it. And maybe that's another reason I like subscription services. And I also like the trial services on PlayStation because people can at least try shit and experience stuff. I'm with Stoner Joe. He says, I rarely replay games. Right. I don't either. I don't replay games that often. Some reviewers are saying it's 25 to 30 hours long, says Vin Sins. Yeah, I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. Legend says if you feel like you got your money worth, you're okay. Yeah, I know, but if you finish it, you're okay. If you finish it though, you're still like it was great, but that was $70. Ravnos says the rating is silly. Oh, you're saying putting value on it for rating? I think only if we could just return to the brilliant years of GamePro rating, and it was just like value, 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 5. Alan Wake's a 2. Fun factor, it's a 5 out of 5, right? I mean, if you could rate them that way, then I think it's fair to call it out in a review. But I think if you're just kind of talking about it as the quality of the one-off, it probably, I don't know. I could see how reviewers would feel the need to kind of marble that into their final thoughts on the product. The other thing is you have to compare it to other things, right? I mean, look what you get. Look what you get for, you know, if you drop $16 a month and you get Netflix, right? I mean, how many hours of entertainment are you getting for $16 a month? I mean, you're that you actually use. I don't know. Brett Moore, Cult of Calypso, 20 months. Thank you, buddy. He says, look, we got buying a few games back in the day because we had rental stores. Not sure how I'd feel about it if I were a broke kid these days. If I was a broke kid these days, I would goddamn cockadoo goddamn right be on the Game Pass. Bookster says, I think people put too much emphasis on length. Most of my favorite games of all time are around 10-hour campaigns. I agree. But again, Bookster, I assume you're a grown-up and you can afford things. And yeah, and Admiral, that's right. A lot of kids are playing Roblox anyway. They're used to free. So anyway, it is what it is. Alex S., I'll let you know after I play it if I feel that it's worth it. Bukaki, what do you think about Alan Wake for $60?
I think that if you've been waiting a long time for this game, you don't give a fuck if it's $60 for, 10 or 15 hours. Like I said, I have never played the first one, so I'll probably wait till I finish that, and then I'll delve into this one. But I don't know, I think it's silly to complain that a game's only 10 or 15 hours. Like, that's still a lot of fucking time. Like, what else are you gonna do for 10 or 15 hours besides fucking sit on your bed and watch fucking Netflix or whatever?
Sure, but you could go out, you could get a box set of an entire series, or you could buy it off Apple or whatever for that for much less, and you've probably got about 50 hours of entertainment right there.
Or you could illegally pirate it for free.
You could do that too. Legend says the links shouldn't matter. The game feeling is what should matter. If you got an exceptional complete game, you should be able to say it was worth 70. Again, if you're buying it for that, and if you're an aficionado of the medium, sure. But if you're someone who's just like, look, man, I get 3 games a year. This is the game that's going to last me all throughout Christmas. I think there's value in taking that into account. That's all. All right, let's move on, shall we? Jonathan, we have rent. Thank you, buddy. 35 months Diet to the Soldiers. Very, very, very generous and long-term. Thanks, man. He says, we have rentals now. That's what Game Pass and PS Plus are. You're absolutely right. And that actually rolls into the story that we're about to talk about. So believe it or not, this is not a bullshit placation to your super chat or to your membership. This actually is marbled into the story we're about to talk about. So hang tight for a moment. This is all about Marvel and Spider-Man 2, and more importantly, some criticism that dropped this week that I don't think it's, people accuse me of clickbait. I don't think Marvel Games is in trouble. I think Marvel Games is fantastic. But we'll get to that. But the first question I have is, because we talked about this a little bit today, but now I'm seeing this gain a little bit more traction. Marvel Spider-Man 2 players upset over side mission. Well, this specific one, like I had heard people were upset. Even people in the chat yesterday didn't like how woke the game was. I guess because there's like a side mission where Miles helps 2 dudes go to the prom and make it to the prom on time or something. I haven't gotten to there yet. And they didn't like that. And then I saw this one. This is Miles' girlfriend, Haley, I think her name is. And she is a deaf gal. And it says, what makes the mission unique, because Haley Cooper is doing graffiti on the walls and stuff, spray paint. And you play as Haley in a minigame. What makes this mission unique is that it deafens the gameplay sound to imitate the experience Haley goes through being deaf. This mission has created some controversy online among players as they feel that it takes away from the game. It's boring and weird. Somebody says, this is from Narwitz, who actually wants to do this boring stuff in a Spider-Man game? Like, honestly, who is excited by and happy with this content?
They're really going to call that unique? You want to know what it feels like to be a deaf person? Put some earplugs in, brother.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that it's like, it is unique for a video game to say, hey, it's like when the Daredevil game comes out, they're going to save a shit ton of money on graphics, but I think that's Daredevil. That's what you've got to do. Imagine paying money to play this, says Omega Fandom. I'm like, I think it's kind of cool. And obviously some people were defending it, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Bad Robo says, here we go again. People don't have enough problems. This is leading to a bigger question, though, and actually a more interesting, more important question. I like this. A cab says, why are they upset? Are they stupid? They probably are. Okay, so but then there's this also. They talk about how Haley being deaf in a relationship with Miles, and the gay couple in the Miles side mission seems forced. Also, the blind woman and the dog side mission. I haven't had that one yet. I think they make other points in the video, and it's just whatever. So, but here's the bigger question, because regardless of whether it's woke to you or you don't like playing as the deaf lady or whatever. Here's what is interesting that I do think is something Marvel Games, and I love these games that they cite as failures other than Avengers, but here's what they're saying. There's a Den of Geek article by Matthew Bird. He says, why Marvel video games keep failing? Well, okay. I mean, he's not wrong. He lists a bunch of mobile games that failed. He lists Avengers that failed. He lists Guardians of the Galaxy that failed. And he lists Marvel Knights. Okay, so maybe Midnight Sun. So maybe he's right. Maybe a lot are failing. You've got Marvel Snap, and you've got the Spider-Man games, at least financially, that are not failing, right? PM45, by the way, going back to the Haley mission, says you don't have to be anti-woke to think that gameplay is trash and not fun. But that's kind of what we're about to talk about, right? Because the thing is, what happened?
Combat Carl. Mary Jane is ugly. All I got to say about Spider-Man 2.
Why don't you send us a picture of yourself, Combat Carl, and we'll let the audience decide who they'd rather shtup, you or the Mary Jane model in Spider-Man. But it goes on, Guardians of the Galaxy was excellent. And Midnight Suns was excellent, but I get why that may have gone down a little bit harsh for people. But I mean, it literally is a game where in between fighting Hydra, Blade wants to start a book club, and you've got a visual novel component all throughout the game. And in this part, Blade is like talking about, my favorite book is The Art of War, and then Captain America has an opinion. It's crazy. But I
like that stuff.
I love that stuff too. But that becomes the question, right? Marvel, and if you go to Guardians had some of my favorite of that kind of stuff, where a lot of people are accusing Spidey 2 of being like Life is Strange and why do we have to ride a bike with Peter and all this shit. But in Guardians, I loved it when young Peter Quill was walking around his bedroom and you saw his metal posters and he was having those conversations with his mom about his birthday. And it was the slice of life stuff that gives Marvel Comics and MCU really kind of what they're special for outside of the obvious. And I don't know, I don't know if Marvel's biggest problem on these games failing is because they played into that, but we see people complaining about it in Spider-Man 2. There's at least a vocal minority, if not more, that just wish I could be Spider-Man and swing and punch things. Do I have to fucking ride a bike? Do I have to do spray painting missions? Do I have to, become Peter for this mission and walk around the Daily Bugle or whatever? But that's what Spider-Man is. But if you're Marvel Games, here's my question. I'll start with cocky drive-by, but here's my question. If you're Marvel Games, would you go, you know what, as much as we are stewards of the Marvel IP, and as much as we know and recognize that Marvel fans, and more importantly, just Marvel as our bread and butter, is about the action, but it's also about the humans that are doing the action, would you say, you know what, nope, fuck it, that's Marvel, suck it, bitches? Or would you say, yeah, we probably need to start dialing back the book clubs and the bike rides if we really want to justify the budgets that we're spending on these games? What do you think?
I mean, I would argue that these games have different problems. I mean, the Spider-Man shit, like, sure, like, some people are complaining about that, but I would say that's a vocal minority. I'm sure there's another group just as loud saying, like, no, these missions are great because it helps you get into the lives of the heroes and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's why I like it.
Yeah. Guardians of the Galaxy, I think... I have the game. I bought it. I played through, like, 5 hours of it. I thought it was very good. But once I finished that first mission, I did not have any desire to go back to it. I was just like, this is just like a movie. Like, this isn't really anything new for me.
Wait a minute. You mean you played as Peter Quill walking around, you played as Peter Quill as Star-Lord, and
yeah.
So you had that experience of the moment-to-moment gameplay of the action part, but you just said this is just kind of standard.
I was like, this is like the movie. Like, I don't know. It just felt like they were trying to copy that formula, which is, I like the movies, but I don't know. It wasn't interesting for me. Like, it didn't excite me. You know,
right.
I've been there, done that.
I thought they had some interesting combat sections, like how you could use your teammates. And this article does cite part of the problem is like communication and the marketing. Like, it took a very long time for a lot of us to know what the fuck that game was. It's like, is this multiplayer? Do I jump from character to character? Are they all AI? What, they did a really shit job letting people know what the game was.
And they also made all the characters look pretty much like they look in the movies, but they all sound different, and I think that probably played a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like, not that the quality's bad, but it makes it look like it's not like AAA, like it's a cheaper product because they couldn't even afford to get the actual actors. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, because I mean that's the thing. The so much of James Gunn's vibe was what made Guardians of the Galaxy a great movie. I don't think anybody ever looked at Guardians like they were some amazing IP. When I remember I was like, how the fuck is this going to work? You know, if it wasn't for James Gunn bringing all that humor and music. And so I get the game was like, well, this is what the brand is now. We need to do that. But not everybody's James Gunn. And I thought they did a good job. I thought it was really well written. But, you know, it did feel very much like we're trying to be like James Gunn. And in that, maybe that turned some people off because it didn't feel genuine, possibly.
That's the kind of vibe I got from it. Now, Midnight Suns, I never played because it's like a turn-based thing, right?
It's a turn-based. It is a strategic card battler mixed with a visual novel. And again, I think that is cool as fuck, but I can understand why even fans of XCOM were like, I'm not playing that.
That's such a niche kind of game too. Like, I know you're probably bringing more eyes to it with the Marvel characters, but you know, so few people are gonna want to play when you're playing, you know, as Wolverine or Ghost Rider, all the characters and that. You don't want to fucking tell them what to do and then watch, and then some dice roll tells you if it worked or not, you know? Like,
yeah, it doesn't feel that way. I mean, it's a genuinely really good game. I'm not knocking it. I think the strategy is fun. The card stuff is fun. But I understand that if someone sees that property and sees Wolverine and Ghost Rider and Blade, and it's like, oh, it's turn-based? What is this? You know, I get
like
that.
You see that, you're thinking Marvel Ultimate Alliance, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I saw that cover, that's the kind of game I would think it is. And then you turn your PS5 on or whatever, and you got to fucking play with cards and, you know, there's strategy involved. I like those kinds of games, but I can see why someone would see that and be like, what the fuck is this? I'm trying to beat people up as Wolverine.
Yeah, Jonathan says the same thing in the chat. He says, I never tried Sons. I'm a big fan of Marvel, but as soon as I heard visual novel with card-based combat, I was out. Yeah, it's like you can maybe pick one of those. Like Neon White, which was brilliant, that came out last year, was one of the best shooters of last year, and I couldn't handle it because it was too much of a visual novel in between the shooting. But you can definitely get away with it if your budget allows. Like, I think if you look at Marvel Snap's not a super expensive game to make, and it's also in a genre that has a lot of fans already. So I hope Marvel doesn't move away from these sorts of games, but I definitely think they need to kind of go, you know, we could probably have done, you know, a great turn-based strategic Marvel team game, you know, at a AA level or even at an indie level like FTL or Into the Breach or something. I think Marvel fans would have fucking shown up for that. If you know, but alas,
it's the marketing, you know, is harder. Like for Marvel Snap, it's pretty understood when you're downloading it that it's a card game. With Midnight Suns, if you're not plugged in, you're not watching previews and trailer or even trailers. You watch a trailer and it's like a CG trailer, you're thinking, holy shit, this is awesome. Yeah. And then once you see the gameplay, you're like, what the fuck?
Can you imagine being a kid that got that? Like, Mom, that's what I want. I love Wolverine. Okay, that's your Christmas present from your brother. And it's like, what the fuck is this? A book club? And then I got to go romance Tony Stark if I've picked a female hunter. What the fuck is this all about? But I did enjoy it. But I do think Marvel has an interesting challenge on their hands. They're talking about upcoming projects like Black Panther and Iron Man, which obviously are going to be more action focused. But I hope they still have the personal shit. I played the Iron Man I played it on Meta, the VR game. And even that allowed you to deal with his, you know, issues with his dad, if I remember, and alcoholism. I mean, I hope they never remove it wholesale, but maybe if they're going to really play into that, they should kind of go, okay, let's pick the right budgets. And I don't even know who finances their games. I'm not saying Marvel funded Spider-Man. That's certainly not true.
I don't know. It's weird for me that these guys keep fumbling the bag, to be honest. Like,
are they though? I mean, Marvel, Spider-Man is massive. Marvel
Avengers was a huge failure.
Yeah, but that's Square.
How do you fuck up Avengers? Like,
you fuck it up because you've got these fucking morons. And again, I get it. It is hard. out there right now to be an executive because nobody knows which way the wind is really blowing, and it keeps fucking changing. So I get, just like with Jim Ryan over at Sony, I get why somebody would say, ooh, Marvel Avengers meets Destiny. Are you kidding?
I think the problem is they're not
the room that counts the money, that stashes the money. I get it.
Yeah,
but
they're not even trying to see where the wind's blowing. They're just trying to. This game made a ton of money. Let's copy this. It's like, it's a tale as old as time. Not even just with video games, with music, movies, whatever.
Yeah.
Something success. Paranormal Activity comes out. It's got like a budget of like nothing. It makes millions of dollars. There's a million other movies like that coming out.
Yeah.
Music with trends. Emo was big, 20 years ago. There was a million emo bands coming out getting signed by labels.
But that
now
is
games as a service.
Thing. That is, it's like, but that, yeah, you're right. It's a tale as old as time. That is, if you're a creative person, and I'm not saying I'm a good creative, but I'm a creative person. I'm not like tooting my horn here. But I swim in those waters more than I swim in the conservative waters. And yeah, people like us find that just so offensive, but to them, that's the standard setting that they're dialed in on, which is, I'm about making the money. I'm not really, if it's creative, great. That's a nice little cap, I guess, feather in the cap, but it's about making the money. So what's working? Let's copy it. And that's 90% of the fucking human race, which I get on one level. On the other level, I think it's really shitty.
It's just it'll be the eternal conflict, between trying to make as much money as possible and trying to make art.
Yeah, and it does work when it works. I think it worked for Sony for a very long time. It's probably still working, but I mean, I do believe in the value of that battle back and forth. But lately, when it comes to AAA video games, it seems like the money is winning out more than I would like. So. Yeah, exactly. Legend says Ubisoft and Sony used to balance it. I agree. Ubisoft had a moment in the sun where they were just like, wow, their stuff is so creative but so successful. But yeah,
Eric says, just give Bukkake your show already.
Yeah, I already did. I'm out of here, motherfuckers. And I also think, you're dealing with people who have very different ways of taking in Marvel. I mean, I think Marvel is so ubiquitous now that for some people it is just a big fucking action fest. But others, it's much more, narrative and character based. I am still very much interested in the Amy Hennig game because she's doing Captain America, Black Panther, World War II. And unless she has pivoted it to a action AAA game, she was pitching her going, I think it's Skydance or something, wherever she is, as a way to kind of make somewhere between Netflix's Bandersnatch and a AAA game, something much more accessible and much more, it almost reminded me when I heard her talk about it of that thing that Microsoft put out this year, which was like the choose your own adventure game that had this kind of, and I man, I'll tell you something. I loved what they were trying to do. I thought the art looked stupid. It was just cringe as fuck. I hated looking at those people.
It's low budget shit.
It would just, pick a better art style. But that, along with, I just didn't think the story was that compelling. But yeah, you go and you make, take a Marvel character that's not so much about punch. Always, you could take Jessica Jones, or you could take an action character and make that. I'm totally down for that. It wasn't Pentiment. It was called, is it Duskfall? What was that fucking thing? Xbox Game Pass Dusk Falls is what it was called. And again, I enjoyed it for what it was, but I just think that I hope that they don't look at this and go, this is the death call for this kind of game that they're making, because its success or lack of success, I do not think is based on people saying, I don't want to play this game. They're saying, I don't want to play this genre of game. They're saying, I don't want to play this particular narrative because the story's just okay and the people look fucking freakish and I don't like looking at them. It makes me uncomfortable. This guy looks like The Quartering. Jeremy here. That's what he looks like. And the game is, I agree, PM45. The game is fun in co-op. I agree. I'm not knocking the game. I'm just saying that, you know, all right, you know what I'm saying. Let's move on. Bukaki, did you ever play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3?
No, I stopped after Black Ops Cold War.
Was that... you ever play the No Russian mission? That's the question.
No, I don't.
Okay. So I was fascinated by this because Modern Warfare 3 Remake is coming out November 2nd, which I think is next week, right? If you've pre-ordered it, which I have, you can get the campaign. I'll be streaming that. I love the Call of Duty campaigns. That's next week, and I guess it's Modern Warfare 3. So I believe they're going to do No Russian. I don't know if they're going to repeat the missions or not. But IGN did this interview with Mohammed Al-Alavi, who was the designer of that mission. And I just wanted to share this with you fellas. Yeah, RPG says they replaced all the guns with walkie-talkies. Even Spielberg, when that happened in E.T., regretted it. He said that was a terrible idea. No Russian was Modern Warfare 2, Dagda? I thought it was 3. Okay, well, 2. Well, there you go. Fuck me sideways. But anyway, so... I wanted to share this if you haven't seen it. There's a really good interview. Here's what he said. In the mission, if you don't know it, you are, if I remember this correctly, you are undercover with the bad guys and they're Russians, and in order to make them believe that you're not a plant, as you guys all go into an airport filled with civilians, you have to start shooting people and killing civilians. It's like a mass shooter in an airport. That's the level, right? Yeah, you're CIA operative. There you go. And so I don't think you have to pull the trigger, but most people did. They also gave you a chance to skip it. So here's what he said. He said there were definitely some people at the company, Infinity Ward, who objected to it. I thought they were overreacting, but in retrospect, he says... they were 100% right. I remember one person was like, this is offensive, I don't want to play it. So the co-founder, Jason West, who's no longer there, made the decision to include a content warning. This is all coming from GameSpot, by the way, before the mission and give players the ability to skip it entirely. Alavi, the designer, didn't originally want to do this because it felt like, in his words, copping out. He says, I felt that was almost being like saying, this is not worth you playing. But West was the one that was like, no, we have to keep this in. He was like, this is not about it being a cop-out. It's about allowing people to enjoy the rest of the game, even if they don't agree with this part. You know, whatever. I played it. I don't remember if I shot anybody. I don't know if it's that the graphics are getting better or if it is I'm just getting older. I don't know what it is. But I won't hurt civilians in games anymore if I can help it. I don't remember where I was in my brain. Do you shoot? You don't give a fuck about the civilians, Bukaki?
I don't know. Like when I play games like Fallout and shit, or like even Metal Gear, I try not to kill anybody. So I guess I do.
I kind of care about them. I know that's weird, but you know, whatever. Fuck off. He says also, this was interesting. They brought a military vet in to play. Modern Warfare 2, military veteran, and he got to the no Russian level. He couldn't stomach it. He gets to the level, says the designer. He recognizes they're all civilians, and he puts the controller down and leaves the room. He's like, I'm not playing that level. And
God, this is such good PR for this shit.
I know. Alavi says, I was shocked. I was like, wow, okay, this has a strong reaction with some people. I don't know. Bad Robo says there was a pregnant woman among the civilians. Yeah, just keep dialing it up. Would be like complaining I'll get to that. I see your snobby little annoying comment, Eric Lynn, and I'll get to it in a second. But let me finish this topic first. But regardless, though, I do hope we see a mission like that. I mean, I like missions like that. I think they're important. If you're really trying to make a powerful game, it's, you know, I don't have a problem with them being there. But it was interesting to hear that, you know, he didn't think it was going to be offensive. I don't know, man. I don't know how you could design that and not think. Hell, before that, we knew pushing somebody into a fucking flamethrower in God of War 1 was going to be offensive. And we wanted it to be offensive. You know, we wanted you to feel like Kratos, like you're an asshole. But
I feel like you got to be like so like unaware to think that no one is going to be offended by that. Like,
maybe
that's kind of crazy.
Maybe it's because when you are a designer, to some extent, you really do start looking at things more abstractly. And so you're like, these aren't people. They're just little pawns on a game board. And it's about remove enough pawns so the pawns that are AI and walking next to you allow you to open the next door and move forward to win the game. Like, you can kind of get lost in the abstraction of design. And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's why he couldn't quite, you know, get the 30,000 foot view that he needed. I don't fucking know. Listen to this. Eric Lennon says, Jaffe, my friend got shot in the head in Chicago. He is a rap fan where they talk about shooting people a lot. I wonder if that changed his enjoyment of the songs. I haven't talked to him. I don't know. Go ask him.
Yeah, we should ask him.
Or is he dead? I mean, he could be like Regarding Henry, right? Regarding Henry, that movie with Harrison Ford. He goes in to get a pack of cigarettes, gets shot in the head. You ever see this movie?
No.
It was one of J.J. Abrams' first scripts. He didn't direct it, though. And he goes in, and he's just this asshole lawyer. And he goes into this little New York City mom and pop convenience store, and it's being robbed, and he's just like, he doesn't try to stop the bad guy. He's just like, fuck it, I'm out of here. And he gets shot in the head, and he's kind of going, it's really fun. It's not funny, but it's fascinating to watch that scene where he's just like, he has a moment of awareness of what's happened, and he's like, wait, what's happening? I'm going to go now, you know, and then he just falls over. But he survives, and his personality totally changes. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
Oh, yeah, they say that happens, actually, in real life.
Yeah.
But, I hate to leave you fellas, but I got to go.
Oh, well, thank you for stopping by, Bukkake. It's good to know that, you know, every now and then you'll grace us with your presence. Where are you going, to work?
Yeah.
We got to have that conversation about getting you ducats, buddy. Hit me up this weekend if you're around.
Yeah, I will.
All right. See you, buddy. Thank you.
See ya.
Eric says he was listening to a song today on a track where the singer says, I'll make your brain fall into your lap. Yeah, I mean, you know, I don't fucking know what it causes you to do and what kind of entertainment. I mean, you know, we had somebody on the show the other day in the chat, and, you know, I didn't have a problem with it, but he was like, Jaffe, why are you making a joke about cancer or something? And it's like, you know, some people take the slings and arrows of life, and they find comfort in mocking it and laughing at the absurdity and the pain of it. And some people never want to be, you know, reminded of it. So, I mean, everybody's different. Yeah, let me go back to this real quick. Eric says, Jaffe, why don't you make a video saying Call of Duty formula is getting stale? Why do that only to Sony? Do you hate Sony? I know you're taking the piss, and that's fine. No, I don't hate Sony, and I will be doing a Spider-Man 2 review. As I've already said, that I was wrong when I saw their trailer saying this just looks like more of the same. Spider-Man 2 is fantastic, and it's partially fantastic because they allowed it to be more of the same. But unlike Ragnarok, in my opinion, they took 30% where they had freedom to change things, and that 30% was either massive improvements in what had come before or brand new ideas. And so when they do that, I'm down. You know, I'm you know, he's talking about like, oh, Bacon Magma's like, yeah, Jaffe made a video saying all the climbing in Uncharted from the first one to the latest one is the same. And Bacon's like, well, what do you want him to do with climbing? Well, A, that's not my job anymore. I'm not a designer. But the main complaint is that if all you're doing from a game that launched on PS3 to a game that's now on PS4, PS5 is pretty much pushing the stick in a single direction and you climb, that's fine. But why am I having to do it so much? Because it's getting fucking boring. So either come up with some really cool enemies that you have to fight on the mountain that are unique and kind of change the formula up. Like I remember there was a game back in the day called Heart of Darkness, which was like Flashback, where you climbed a mountain. And in that, they had different kinds of enemies. They had enemies that came out of the wall. So if you were on a part of the wall, you had to move because the enemy was going to bust out. But then if you moved, it destroyed part of the wall. I mean, there are things that you can do to keep the gameplay fresh. And I just feel that Uncharted over the years has the Ragnarok problem, which is it's beautifully made. It's wonderfully executed, but the formula hasn't really been given enough of a shakeup, in my opinion. There are people that will tell you that, oh no, the shooting is different. I'm sure there are nuanced things that are different, but I don't think most people are picking up on those. Jaffe, you could distill every game you made to that if you wanted to nitpick. No, you couldn't. You absolutely could not. Again, it goes back to design. It goes back to abstraction. It goes back to, you can take Twisted Metal 1 and you can take Twisted Metal 2 and say, it's the same game, but there are some meaningful adjustments that allow those games to play very different. That's part of the job. Eric, I appreciate that. A lot of people loved Ragnarok. I'm in the minority. I did not. I thought it was like I said, you know what I think? Beautifully made game. Paced terribly, very been there, done that. Bad Robo says in Call of Duty you don't do anything but shoot. I think you're wrong. I think if you look at my review on this very channel of the last Modern Warfare from last year, there were a handful of levels, and I thought it was paced poorly because where they put these levels tended to be at the beginning. And there were a handful of these levels that were very samey, and I would have had the same complaint. But about level 3 or 4 in, they started releasing some of these great gameplay sections. I'm not saying they were great, like they should get DICE awards for design, but they were great in that they kept you on your toes. You were constantly engaged. One of them is like you leap from truck to truck and then you get hung up on a helicopter and you're hanging upside down, and so all the shooting is now upside down. There was another one. I don't know, you can go back and look at the video on this channel, but I loved the last one because it was fresh. Ravno says, really, you never use the same driving mechanics? Not saying added things, but rewrote the engine. Not the engine. The engine's a different issue, but the physics engine was improved, but we added gameplay that made the game deeper than the first one. Yes, I agree. Sequels do not need to be 100% mechanics, but they also can't be, in my opinion, if they're to be loved, in my opinion, level packs. They have to sort of go, I know what you love. I'm going to give you that. I also know what you love is surprise and delight because you had that in the first game. And in that, we're going to give you 20 to 40% fresh takes on what we've already done and or new stuff. Okay, so that, I'm sorry, that's just the way it has to be if you want to get my approval for a sequel. I mean, it applies to movies and stuff too. Why do you want to play the same fucking thing you've already played? I mean, at that point, why not just buy more levels? They're not mostly scripted scenes. Bad Robo says these are mostly scripted scenes. Let me.
Well, let me tell you this, Linda.
You goddamn right. Listen, hey, I'll show you. YouTube, hang on. I'm not going to show you the whole video. You can go see it yourself. Whatever, baby. YouTube Jaffe Modern Warfare 2 review. Let me just see. These were not cutscenes. These were not quick time events, right? That's a little different. Doom was 2 new maps and a super shotgun. Doom Pixel, though, was a very different time. Doom came out and no one had ever played a game like it. And you didn't have, it could afford to be a little samey. I also think, if I remember correctly with Doom 2, didn't Doom 2 open up the maps to the point that they were massive? They weren't open world, but if I remember correctly, you had... I was excited when I first heard about it because they said it's going to be like the demons invade Earth. And I thought I was going to be running around New York fighting demons. It wasn't that, of course. But those maps in Doom 2, I do think were absolutely gigantic compared to the first Doom. But anyway, here, I'll show you. So I do in this video, I go around, I don't like this. It gets boring. It's the same shit, and then it just fucking explodes, right? So let me see if I can find... Here's a great example. I'll just show you this. This is not a quick time event. Hang on. You're leaning out the helicopter with the sniper rifle, shooting the bad guys. shit goes south real fast and you find yourself hanging upside down from a helicopter. I have never seen this in a game. I've never seen this in a movie, and it is fucking action movie crack. This is the shit. I like that you can jump from car to car. I know that's been in games before, as recently as the most recent Saints Row, but this one doesn't feel canned like that. This literally just feels like, hey, if you can make the jump, you can take over the car.
Who stations?
So on and on and on, right? There's enough missions in this one, and I even think the last one as well, the last Modern Warfare remake, that it's not QuickTime events. It's genuinely compelling gameplay. So I'm excited for it. Ravno says this video proves my point. Totally fine. I don't have to sell you on it. I'm just telling you why I liked it and why I felt that the criticism of this is too much like the other, at least in the last 3 Call of Duties, does not apply. But if it does to you, great. You hung upside down. Yeah, okay, but wait. Brett Moore says you hung upside down in The Last of Us. This... I don't remember The Last of Us being on a moving item and you're hanging and moving and having to dodge vehicles coming at you and shoot enemies. You may have had a moment, if I remember, where you hang upside down and shoot zombies coming at you. Car-to-car combat in Uncharted was very on rails. This is on rails. Literally, you're on a road, but I can get on the roof of my car at any time, and if I see a car going by, I can leap off, grab it, take the car, flip it around, and continue the mission. It's not it's different. But I mean, again, I don't care if you don't like it. I'm just telling you what vibe with me. But, you know, everybody should, Bad Robo says, oh, wow, you're shooting upside down. Game changer. I didn't say it was a game changer. Mike, why is it so hard? I would hate to be a college professor whenever I say something if somebody agrees with it. Instead of, hey, Jaffe, I'm wondering about that. The level, this is what it should be. The level of value that you are attributing to that design choice, to me, says the student, seems higher than what I would give it. And then that would open up a great conversation. The conversation would be interesting. I don't agree, but you know what? Why don't you tell me what you think, student, that piece of gameplay could have that would still the same gameplay, but what would you add as a designer to tick that box that's being ticked for me, but not for you? Instead, what I get, not that I'm a professor, is Bad Robo going, oh, wow, you're shooting upside down. Game changer. All right, let's move on, shall we? Oh yeah, you can go upside down in Mega Man. Oh, come on. Not I'm doing 3D. Maybe you can in the 3D, man. I don't fucking know. Okay. Uncharted was absolutely on rails. If you're talking about Uncharted 4 and the scene with Nathan Drake and Sully in the Jeep and he's hanging behind the fucking thing and Indiana Jones and he's swinging under the bridge. I'm not saying it was on rails like it was a QuickTime event movie. There were failure states based on your ability to shoot and navigate. But it wasn't, it wasn't, there wasn't a lot of player agency. Let's say that. Rob says, I think we need a Call of Duty game night. We will, and we'll do it when the new one comes out. You goddamn right. You goddamn right. All right, let's move on. I think we've had enough of me proving how right I am.
We're just normal men, just innocent men.
That's goddamn true. When I vomited in the bed, I just laid in it. I'm not even fucking with you. I'm really not. Listen to this, though. This was interesting. Jeff Card is a very well-known, well-loved in the industry game designer. Good dude as well. Hardcore nuts and bolts game designer. I got to know him at first. I was starstruck because he's the kid of Orson Scott Card, who wrote some of my favorite books. I have terrible thoughts about his views on politics and equality and whatnot. Not Jeffrey, but his dad. But then I got to know Jeffrey a little bit. He worked on, I think he's over working on Undead Labs, State of Play, State of Decay 1, 2, and the new one. I have a lot of respect for this guy as a designer. But this was really interesting. Rami, this kind of ties into what we were talking about, and it does go back to that super chat that we got from Jonathan, which was, we have rentals now with Game Pass PS Plus. It'll tie into that. I promised. I'm not a liar. Rami Ishmael, designer of maybe he founded Devolver. I don't know. He did that Vlambeer thing, whatever. I don't like him. He and I don't get along. He seems like he's a little, I mean, you think I'm fucking as left as you get, and he comes at me sometimes on the internet like, oh, Jaffe's a problematic, fuck you, asshole. But anyway, they were talking on Twitter and about designers, this guy, Chris Wade. Now, I don't know where he's worked. Does he follow me? Do I follow him? No, he's the game director at Luckshot Games. Never heard of him. He's probably never heard of me. I'm not saying it's a thing. He says, at Pro and Nothing, the best game designers I've ever met trend towards playing thousands of games for a short duration rather than dozens of games for a long duration. Rami Ishmael comes in and says, I'll add that's been my experience too. Many of the best game designers I know play a game to understand it, and then when they feel comfortable that they understand how it works, why it works that way, what they can learn, they move on to the next one. And then Jeffrey, how I came to this conversation, I didn't communicate, but I saw it. He says, this drives me crazy about myself. I want to finish more games, but I also can't shake the feeling that I need to play 6 more different ones instead. Whenever I do put the time into finishing one, it feels costly, like it better be worth it. That's all I'm saying. The idea, though, I think, and maybe it's like once you go into game design, maybe Rob the Mod is starting to discover this as he's making his first published game that I think is coming out next year. The more you actually get into game design as a real moment to moment, oh my God. Nodog and Pixel, can you please hang on a minute? I got to say something. As you get into game design as a moment to moment experience, you do start seeing things abstractly, and you do start looking at a game. And I'll give you a great example. And this, so, I started tracking when I quit most games, right? And I realized when it was, like I put Spider-Man down, I'm back to Spider-Man, but I put Spider-Man down and I put Baldur's Gate 3 down, and I'm going to go back to it. And I put Elden Ring down, and I'm like, I'm a hair's breadth away from the end. Because when it gets a little too hard, and not fun hard, but like, oh, okay, this is going to take some work, I'm like, I'm done. Maybe I'll come back, maybe I won't, because I don't enjoy that part of the gaming experience. I don't feel any pride for the most part that it's like, I beat the challenge. I just want to have the interactive fantasy play out for me for the most part, unless you're talking multiplayer games, right? Well, I bring this up, A, because I think it's interesting, and B, because this is not why I went back to Spider-Man, but I did go back to Spider-Man because I was like, it's at a point in the game where Peter is in the Elaine May, I think it's called, Foundation, and he's fighting all these Craven Hunter dudes, and Harry's trying to synthesize this cure for the lizard. There's no spoilers there. It's in the trailer. And they just keep coming and coming and coming and coming, right? And I realized, even though I finished it without this, I was like, oh shit, I can turn, like I did in, what was that skating game with the shooting that came out on PlayStation exclusively last year? I can turn the game speed down in this game. And so all you do is once you set it up, anytime the game gets kind of like, okay, it's not that it's too hard, it's that I'm struggling to process everything around me fast enough to do what the game at 100% speed wants me to do. Okay, and I guess you could say, well, that means it's too hard for you. But it doesn't feel like I'm making the enemies easier. It feels like, for my 52-year-old old man brain, I'm probably having the same experience that a 20-year-old is having playing that segment at 100%. And so I no longer feel bad about it, like I'm missing out on the game or I'm setting it to easy when I hit that switch, partially because it only affects speed. It doesn't affect all the other things. And I don't always have to use it. I turn it off when I want because I don't want to be running around at 70% swinging through the city and shit. But also because when I really thought about it, the way the game is tuned right now, if you play the whole thing at 100%, the sense of I did it all at 100%, all you're really kind of saying is I played and beat the game based on what some dudes probably, but not necessarily, some dudes in Insomniac thought the numbers should be set at in order to how many enemies can attack me at a single moment and how bright the spider sense icon so I can notice it is. And once I started perceiving it that way, I was into this. I haven't used it that much, but I like that it's there. And it'll probably help me stick with the game. And I do wonder, now this is probably a bad idea. This is probably a terrible idea. But kind of like if you go back and play the NES games on your Switch and you can rewind anywhere. And that absolutely fucks the art form, right? I was playing Donkey Kong 2 on my Switch the other day. And I'm playing this and I die a couple of times. And, my experience with Donkey Kong 2 and arcade games and all this shit is, that's part of it. But now I'm just fucking rewinding it, right? I wonder if like the next PlayStation or the next Xbox or Switch, it's just like, every game has that. Every fucking game has that. I mean, maybe the developer can choose to turn it off, but it's like it's this sort of API. It sits above the core game software, and you can press a button and change the speed of the game. Would you like that, or would you think that is shit? And maybe I'm older than you, and in that you can't relate yet, but I'm telling you, it's not that I'm looking for a super fucking easy game, but I like the fact that I have an opportunity to continue where the ability to continue takes into account the fact that my reflexes ain't what they used to be. If Sony announced that, PS6, we're putting a button on here, a time button, what would you think about that? Would you be a fan, or you would think that's hurting the art form? Rollerdrome is what had it. I thought I liked Rollerdrome, Brett, more when you played it at 100%. And I also liked it more, though, playing it at like 80%, because it gave me the ability to... They play as totally fucking different games. Afro says games are for fun. They aren't for gatekeeping, and they aren't for bragging rights. They should be accessible for everyone to enjoy, hopefully without making it easier for everyone. I'm starting to come around to that. Bacon says, just don't use the feature. It's optional, and I think they need the rewind feature in all games. I played some Siphon Filter 1 on PS5, and the rewind feature made it better. Right. I get it. I mean, I think you got to be careful, because if a director or designer or a team wants to make a game that is, it's tough, because if they want to make a game that's supposed to be punishing, we've talked about this before. I think AI is going to ultimately solve this, but my sense of punishing is different than yours. I shouldn't have... Like, for me, Elden Ring is harder than it is for Spazbo, right? Spazbo is a lot younger than I am. But my game I'm playing, because I'm older, is harder. I'm playing a harder game than Spaz is playing. And ultimately, I think if you are a team that wants to put your vision out there, what you really want to do is have the vision and then have the numbers adjust in real time based on the player, so that they will receive the same emotional experience is what I would fucking say. I find it fascinating. What is happening in the chat? This is so stupid. What is happening? Cathal says, I'm 45 now, and there are times the parry mechanics in that game piss me off. The parry mechanics in Spider-Man I like, but I will tell you that, there are times where I'm not entirely sure why I got it, and other times why I don't. It seems pretty forgiving, but it's also like a little confusing. A little confusing. Okay. I want to say a couple of things. Connor Steinbeck's been a member for 32 months. Thank you, buddy. Very, very kind, very, very courteous, very generous. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for being part of our community. He says, Spider-Man 2 live plays soon, Jaffe. Maybe. I do want to play Alan Wake live, just because, but Spider-Man, I'm really into the lore and the story, and maybe I'll try it and do a stream with Spider-Man. Hello, Tuxmod, where I'm like, I'm not going to talk to the chat as much, and I'm going to try to be really good on that. And like maybe every 30 minutes I'll take a break and we'll shoot the shit about the game. That would be great. But short of that, I really struggle to play these games like that. But I'll see. Surf says I'm 45 and I can still parry a dodgeball and a wrench. Can you nail a 6-inch nail through a board with your penis? Do you know what that movie's from? Pixel! Come on now. Pixel, where are you at? Pixel? Hang on a second. Hang on. It's not Phil Spencer. It is Phil Spencer and Pixel.
Phil Spencer! Phil Spencer! Phil Spencer, baby, let's go!
Listen, yeah! Pixel, thank you so much for being a member. It's good to have you here. It's very good to have you here. Appreciate it. Appreciate being part of our community. I think I've seen you over on the Discord recently. It's nice to have you, pal. Let me just tell you something. What is the deal? What is happening in the chat? Because people are having some shit in the chat when it comes to Pixel and, man, RPG. Is it not RPG? Who is it? Nah Dog. What are you guys doing? Be nice to people, or Rob will destroy you. Some studio experimented with some. I see what you said, Ricardo. I'll get to it. You might be loving it, but make sure that you guys both are playing Nah Dog, because I don't want to send people. Really, Pixel says Nah Dog blocked you because you didn't give him your gamer tag. Well, then you should be glad he blocked you, because who would want to have any engagement with somebody who doesn't give you a game tag and then blocks you? Come on, Nah Dog. What a baby. What a baby. Okay. Mr. Orange says he's 42. He lives in Colorado. The altitude doesn't help with his reflexes. Still a Halo King. Need a lot of help in Elden Ring. Yeah. And I think that's great. But I mean, as gamers get older and the demographic spreads, they are going to have to take that into account, because I don't ever want to stop playing action games. I love casual games, but you think all I want to play when I get to my 70s is fucking, packing, which I love, but where am I on Spidey, Ricardo? Ricardo, I am at the part where, Harry and Peter have made the cure. At least I think it's going to work for the lizard. And now I'm back to Miles, and Miles chased the drone. None of these are spoilers, by the way, because it's like a drone. There's tons of these drone birds. He chases the drone bird to download the location of someone he's looking for. And he just finished that, and that's where I'm at. So I don't know. You tell me where I'm at. Okay, but Ricardo's like, get to play an Alan Wake. I get there. Hang on, motherfucker. I want to tell you something first, though. Boom. Listen, man. One of our long-term and great sponsors is Rotten Tanuki. Now, Rotten Tanuki makes the Day One Patch Kids. And Day One Patch Kids, especially with Christmas coming up, don't be a fucking baby. I know you're afraid to use your credit card on the internet. It's 2023. Get with the fucking times. Day One Patch Kids are the Garbage Pail Kids meet classic video game characters. They are funny, they are nasty, they are raw, they are creative and delightful. I hope you can work with me to make this brand a success, because I want to see a goddamn cartoon series of these motherfuckers. Day One Patch Kids, you can get them on t-shirts, towels, tank tops, hoodies, wall art, mugs, pillow, tote bags. You got Ninja Gaiden characters. You got what's the lady's name from Dino Crisis? You got the goddamn Scorpion. Rotten Tanuki even saw it to make some characters off Twisted Metal and God of War. So please, in the link tree below, head on down. There's Cloud of War right there. Head on down to Rotten Tanuki's Day One Patch Kids. I'll put the link in the chat right now, but you can also find it in our link tree, and show them where the horse bit you. I would appreciate it. The cards are badass. They are, and I need to get some more, because I have these magnets and I keep trying to stick them on my a poo sticker. That'd be cool. I keep trying to stick them on my mic, but I can't get them to stick, and I've kind of fucked up the back side. So I'd love to get some of those. I'd love to get a hat, but he doesn't make hats yet. All right, what do we got right here? 1 second, fellas. This is what I wanted to talk about. If we go back to an hour ago when Jonathan's like rentals, Game Pass, all that stuff. I'm not saying it should stick because it's a magnet. I'm saying that I want it to stick because of the tape. So I need to get some better tape, is what I mean. Listen, this goes back to him talking about back in the day we had rentals, now Game Pass and PS Plus. I want to show you this. It's pretty cool. Now, you guys know when Saints Row came out, the new one, I really liked it. Now, I was never a big Saints Row guy in the past, and so I did play like the second one and a little of the third one, but I didn't have that sense of this is what Saints Row is, and a big part of it is missing. So I can appreciate people who were looking for a specific tone or what have you were pissed. But since I didn't have that, I just played it and thought it was, fucking dumb, stupid fun. It was kind of crazy and dumb, and it was fun to drive around, and I hadn't played an open world game like that in a while. Most of them have gotten real serious, and this one was kind of back to kind of batshit. So I liked it. Anyway, here's the story. It was a failure. Volition, how long were they in business? Forever. They got shut down. The game was a dog, but it came out recently on PS Plus, and this goes back to Jonathan. And it says, PS Plus brings a dead game back to life. This is Zach Zwiesen. Sounds like a character in a Disney show. Zach Zwiesen. Listen to this. Want to see a magic trick? Zach writes, all you need is an open world video game that flopped at launch and popular subservice with millions of gamers. And presto, you can bring a dead game like Saints Row 2022 back to life and make it one of the most played games on PlayStation. According to new data, Saints Row was the fourth most played PS game in September thanks to the PlayStation Plus giveaway. It should be noted that in September, Generation Zero and Black Desert, Zach continues, were also free, but those were nowhere to be seen in the top 10. This seems to indicate that a lot of people were curious about Saints Row, but bad reviews kept them away probably. But when the game was made free, a whole bunch of players leapt at the chance to download and check out the entry. How many of them finish or put any real time into it is unknown. We'll know next week or next month and see how high it is up there. But if it stayed in the top 10, but at the very least, it seems putting the game on PS Plus helped bring it back from the dead and potentially lead to some DLC sales. Is Volition closing a go woke, go broke thing? Again, man, I didn't think this game was woke. Like, I am loving and playing Spider-Man 2. And I am progressive and I am lefty and I love what people call woke. And it's woke as fuck. But this game didn't seem like that to me. I mean, it was woke only in as much if you compare it to, like I said, the earlier Saints Row, like Get Out of Hell, and that was the DLC. The first one was it 3, where you open up with the dream sequence eating pancakes, and then you're the president or some such shit. It didn't get that body and crazy, and so maybe that's what people were talking about. But I did not feel it was a woke thing. No, I don't think it was a great game, but it was fun. It was a stupid fun. I like streaming it. I like playing it. I never played the DLC or anything. But it was good. Anyway, the point though is, how to get access to these fucking games, right? We're getting to a point, like, I think this, out of all of the things that you can get, if you're listening to the show and not watching, this is a list of all the things you get for PS Plus: Essential, Extra, and Premium. And I think out of all the things that you get on Plus Premium, the one that I would miss if I downgrade, and I'm considering downgrading it, but the one that I would miss is the time-limited game trials, because that is now that's not, by the way, Saints Row. Saints Row's over here in the monthly, so you can get that for Essential. But Saints Row actually was on the time-limited game trials, if I remember correctly, and it didn't move the needle, because I don't think a lot of people have PS Plus Premium. But I will tell you, going back to Jonathan talking about going to Blockbuster, this is excellent. And this, it's like renting games basically. And I don't hear enough people talking about it, or I don't really ever hear anybody talking about it. I will show you real quick if you're curious what this is. I mean, I know you know what it is, but I just want to show you what they have right now, because it's, you know, I just, again, I don't know. I mean, I wish there were more games on it. My understanding, if you go back to the news from a while ago when they dropped this, was that Sony is going to have Sony has a deal with these guys that says if your game is over a certain retail price, after X number of weeks or months, like 3 months, you have to end up on the trial period. So let me show you what it is. Alan Wake's already got an update. All right, hang on. All right, so I think you go, again, part of it's also just really fucking confusing where everything is. Is it collections, games, benefits, game trials? Here we go. All right, check it out. So, I mean, it's cool, man. This is basically what you're talking about. It's the modern day Blockbuster without, you know, having to go out to the store. Evil West, man. I own this game. But I mean, if you have not given Evil West a try, it'll cost you nothing. If you have PS Plus game trials, right? That's an insanely great game. Madison is an insanely great, one of the best horror games of last year. I heard Grey Hill is terrible, so I haven't bought it, but now maybe I'll play it. Shadow Gambit, fucking brilliant game. 2K23, Hogwarts Legacy, Cult of the Lamb, Sonic Frontiers, which I haven't played. Maybe I should try that. So I'm just saying, I highly recommend exploring this if you are a member of the highest tier of PlayStation, because I really do think it's one of those things that I'm always surprised that it doesn't do better. It doesn't do better, or people don't talk about it. Maybe because it's just too expensive. Maybe they need to move it. Maybe they need to move it off this tier because this isn't motivating people to get it. I don't know. Demos need to be back and be a thing. I don't agree with that. Toxic Silence says demos need to be back and be a thing again. I don't agree with you. And here's why. Because first off, forget it's not a 1 hour demo. Leave. Okay, I'm gonna get both these questions. Let me answer the demo question first, though. The demo question, it's not only an issue that it takes a lot of time away from the developer, but when you have a trial and not a demo, and maybe you're not saying you don't like the trials, you're just saying they need to be more out there. But when you have a trial, you are absolutely doing a taste test of what you're going to get. It doesn't mean the game won't get worse or better after your trial ends. But the idea, I mean, look, when we put out God of War demo, and we spent months on that fucking thing. And yes, it does open mostly where the game is, but where the game actually starts. But that said, though, there were a lot of special cases because we wanted it to be a standalone that got people excited. I think honestly, time trials should become the norm, and what it will do, just like Game Pass, is force these lazy developers to make sure their games open, not with action, but they're compelling from the jump. Too many gamers have been able to get fat and lazy. Well, wait till 4 hours kick in. Oh, let's not worry about the tutorial. You bought the game, you'll play it. Tutorial is boring, but the game really picks up at. Fuck you. That's like a movie editor or movie director going, yeah, the first 15 minutes are boring, but you're in the theater, you're opening your, Zag nuts. I don't know what the fuck you eat. I eat popcorn. You're talking to your friends, you turn off your cell phone. No one's going to care, right? Can you imagine? Come on now. Spasbo says, by the way, he's explaining, and he says, console players got screwed with Alan Wake 2 because it's $10 cheaper on PC. Yeah, must have been, because that's what I did. Okay, so Lev says play 1 hour demo equals the same as going to Blockbuster. What are you talking about? No, they're not all 1 hour demos. The current demo, although this one's directly from Ubisoft, is the Crew Motorfest demo, which is excellent, is 5 hours. The Cyberpunk demo that I played was like 3 hours, and then I instantly bought it because I played it day one, and I didn't have a problem with the bugs that were on there. So some of them are an hour, and that sucks. But a lot of them are more. It kind of depends probably, what the developer feels they need to make it most impactful. Not all games have demos, says Hangry Dad. No, I know. I mean, Sony has made sure to make it clear if your game cost, I think it's like more than $40 at retail, and if it's been out for more than 2 months or 3 months, you are required to put it on PS Plus Premium. I don't know how they swung that with all these developers and publishers, but there you go. But yes, you're not going to get a Dave the Diver trial, or you're not going to get a, I don't know what game costs $29, but you know what I'm saying. Ravenous says paying for trials is bull fucking shit. Paying for anything is bull fucking shit until customers show up and pay for it. I'm sure if, I don't disagree. It would be great if it was free. But I don't think they're gonna do that. Alex says, Jaffe, I only sub to Extra to play games like Gotham Knights and all the great games to come. Yeah, I got you. But I certainly do not use my premium anywhere near as much as I use my Game Pass. That's the goddamn truth. But that's because, you saw that bullshit thing they said yesterday. They were trying to explain, no, our customers love our PS Plus tiers, and they really see the value. Okay. I mean, they got kind of slaughtered a little bit in the press. The press even were like, dude, come on now. You're just PR's nasty. Jaffe, are you using the new premium feature Sony Core Picture, says Bacon? Is that, I don't think that's out yet, at least in America. But I might. I have so many sub-services, and I usually watch movies in the living room. So the idea of turning on my PlayStation, which is in my office, but I think it's a nice little extra. When PS Plus Extra was $100, it was the best deal in gaming. What is it now? What does PS Plus Premium cost you now? I don't know. Like for a year? Alex S. Game Pass Core is not so bad. I don't even know what it is anymore. I just have Ultimate, and I don't know what the other options are. Okay. It's $135 for Extra. So what is Premium? Premium's like 150? 151, says Radic, at least pounds. I subbed to Premium, Jaffe, to play classics. They need to add more classics, says Kyler. They do. They absolutely do. Absolutely. It's out. The free movie section is terrible. It's out? Oh, well, I'll look it up in a second. But before I look it up, will I still sub to Game Pass if they increase the price? Of course. I don't. This fear of prices going up. Prices always go up. It's like, yeah, but they'll raise the price of Game Pass. Yeah, and they're about to raise the price of Netflix. Guess what? I'll keep subscribing because I get value for it. You're not owed a concretized, locked in stone price point, but they're not owed your business. So if they're not offering you a value, you walk away. But so far, Game Pass is a great deal and a great piece of entertainment for me. And I'm more than happy if they raise the price. I'll keep paying. Jaffe, what's your thoughts of Peacock having theater movies on release like Five Nights? I will tell you that my kid is going with his friends tonight to see Five Nights at Freddy. And I said to him, it's on Peacock. And he's like, yeah, but we want to see it in the theater. So I get it. I think the people who want to see Five Nights at Freddy in the theater, Five Nights at Freddy's in the theater, they're going to go because they want the fun, hang out with your friends kind of thing. But I think it's kind of fine. Water Princess says your logic, if she's talking to me, doesn't apply to Starfield. It was a slow burn, then you like it after Game Plus. That's not how I felt about it. I liked it right off the bat, but I know a lot of people felt that way. Okay. That's a good idea, Bacon. They should add VR2 games to the PS subscription. They might eventually. They did eventually. Actually, that's not true. Toxic Cylon says theaters are not dead. Killers of the Moon is on Apple TV. It's not yet, though. It runs on theaters until late November, early December. Then it comes to Apple TV. Okay. Okay. I want to tell you something else real quick. I want to tell you who makes me, one more Five Nights at Freddy's thing. I like this. This guy said, he did this on Twitter. He said, he's making a joke. He said, my wife said, I'm going to Five Nights at Freddy's. And he said, okay, have fun at the movie. And she says, who's going to a movie? But come on, man. That was good stuff. It wasn't my joke. I thought it was good. Do I enjoy ebony porn? I don't know what ebony is. Ebony like black lady porn? Ebony and ivory's the white and ebony's the black. I don't tend to find most black women are not kind of what get my engine revving. So I've never actually even went out of my way to look up a subgenre. But I'm sure it's delightful. Okay. Listen to this. Well, the Five Nights at Freddy reviews is interesting, though. Because, Smith says, I heard Five Nights sucked. Glad it's on Peacock. It's weird, though, that it got like a 3 from IGN and a 7 from GameSpot. But my guess would be... that it's probably not a very good movie. But it's probably a fun movie to go and just, shoot the shit with your pals. Listen to this. Man, these guys... Remember Inglourious Bastards, that movie? Remember how the bastards were just some of the coolest motherfuckers on the planet in that movie? They were cool, but they were not as cool as the Cult of Calypso. These motherfuckers keep this show running, and I appreciate it. Who are they, you ask? I'm going to give you their code names. I will not tell you where they live. I will not tell you the real names, but you deserve to know the people who keep us free and safe. It's Dan 2B, Dragos Marinescu, Legends, Connor Steinbeck, Golf Franchise, Melina Khan, Logan the Lurker, Connor J, Lutron Z, Film Gamer X, For the Love of Gaming, Brian Dooley, Rocker Matt, Chris Biting. What's he biting? Darth Nugget, Master Luke. Oh, I got to reach out to Master Luke. I want him to do some new art. He's a wonderful. I love when he does art for this channel. Master Luke, Boogster, Yorch, Muggin Dude 26, JW Conglomerate, Paria Fakihi, Joe Laskowitz, Brett Moore, Jarvie Rocks, Cantankerous Games, Craig Hooligan, Hungry Adventures, and of course, the legend, Master Dragon 2048. You guys, thank you so goddamn cockadoodie much. All right, here's what I think we're going to do. I think Ricardo's like, bitch, your thumbnail says you're going to play Alan Wake. Yeah, and I am. And I will stream a little bit of it. But I think what I'm going to do, though, is create this stream, change the thumbnail, and just sort of make it its own standalone. And then I'll be back tonight, either on our Discord or here on YouTube, playing some Alan Wake, playing some Don't Scream. And I won't take too long of a break. I just figure we went really long, which I think is a good thing. I'm happy with the show. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out and talking about games today. But, we went over 2 hours. I don't need to poop. I wouldn't be ashamed if I need to poop, but I don't need to poop. I just need to clear my head and settle and get some fresh air, go get the mail. So anyway, I'm going to change the thumbnail. Maybe I'll put some timestamps. Maybe I won't. I don't fucking know. We'll see. I will eventually on this, tonight or tomorrow. But and please like the stream, sub, consider a membership. Don't forget, Monday, 2 o'clock. It's going to be, anybody can watch it, but it's going to be members-only chat. So if you've been thinking about a membership, now's the time. Members this weekend, I will probably watch a movie with you guys. Let me tell you what it's called. People are saying it's the best horror movie of the year. It is called... where'd it go? There you go. When Evil Lurks. We'll probably watch that tomorrow. And then the Halloween special will be on Monday. Oh, you can't see it, can you? Talk to Me was great, but they say this is much more disturbing and whatnot. So, okay. Yeah, so like, subscribe, be a member, blah, blah, blah. I appreciate it. In the meantime, though, Rob says play the new soundbite. What's it called? Honey Linda? No. Rob, what is it? What is the new soundbite called? I'm looking for it, man. Is it this one?
'Cause I am Lord, I
No.
am Lord, Lord.
The changeling in Apple Plus was nuts. What is that? Are you mocking my fruit by the foot? I like that one. I like that one. Legends, thank you, buddy. Member for 30 months. He says, thank you, buddy. He says, Jaffe. Okay, mute Mo, I will before I go. He says, Jaffe, have you recently talked to Connie Booth? If not, will you soon, and will you let us know if you do? You know, I mean, I haven't, again, Connie's one of those people, like a number of people at Sony, that I consider a wonderful colleague. I have warm feelings towards her. I think she's just the knees bees, but we don't hang out. She lives in the Bay Area. I'm down here in San Diego. So it's not like I call her. The only reason I would be calling Connie is clearly I want to get some dirt, and that doesn't seem respectful. So, if she wants to talk, she knows where to find me. We're friends on Twitter and Facebook. But honestly, I mean, at this point, I mean, and again, this is not me teasing. You are not going to get any new information out of me on this at all. But what I will tell you, though, is, yeah, man, I mean, I have some information, and I hope some proper journalists kind of find that information and vet it as it relates to Jim Ryan, as it relates to Connie, as it relates to Herman, as it relates to the Naughty Dog project. I'm not saying it's like it's juicy, but right now, like I said yesterday, it's coming from one source, and it's a great source, and it's a source that's been at Sony for a long time and is still at Sony. But I don't have the training, and I don't want the training as a journalist to know what to do with that. But I would love people to know about it because it's really interesting. It's really interesting. And a lot of the stuff that people are speculating is just, I mean, again, of course they'll speculate. Given no information, you're going to fill in the blanks. But some of the stuff, Fupy, that's simply not true. Fupy says, Connie seems to have split amicably. Sony gave her a glowing send-off. Yeah, no. There's no one out there saying that. But no, I'm a big fan of Connie's, and I know if she chooses to get back into it, and this is not lip service, anyone, because some people online were like, it's time for the new blood, and she had her time, and she's been there it's like, bitch, you would be right if her last game was drawn to death. Okay? Her last game was Spider-Man 2, motherfucker. She's not done unless she wants to be done. Dubia says, any chance Ken Levine? No, these guys will not. I mean, I'm going to get some new interviews coming soon. But I think the days of me being able to get, Ken's great. He's done some stuff for the show, which I appreciate very, very much. And I'm a huge fan of Ken, but he knows he'll just, there's no value in him coming on because the stuff I'm going to ask him, is the stuff I'm going to ask him. And I don't want to be some PR mouthpiece. I want to talk to people. So, Jaffe, what's your thought on PS5 Slim, says Alex. Great. I mean, and especially if the price comes down a little bit, that would be fantastic. I think the more people get consoles or get PlayStations, great system. Excellent. Any chance I could get Spielberg on? I would love to have Spielberg on. But again, what I would ask Spielberg is stuff that probably his PR team would say, you can't ask him that. You're talking about a guy who, when I was a kid and then a teenager and a young adult, fucking ruled the fucking industry. I mean, he defined pop culture. He could do no fucking wrong. And now, when it comes to box office, he can't get arrested. And I want to know what that's like. Not because I think he certainly doesn't need the money, but is it more of a thing where I know what I could do to be that guy again, but I've been that guy and I'm not getting any younger, and I want to make every film on my bucket list before I kick the bucket. Or is he like, I wish films like The Fabelmans and West Side Story and BFG did big numbers, but I'm no longer plugged into that zeitgeist. I mean, I that's what I would want to talk to him about. That stuff's interesting to me. Just talking about what's your new movie like? What inspiration did you take from the growing streaming services that are, beginning to take over the internet? Cathal says West Side Story was pretty darn delightful. It was. It was one. I mean, his skills have not gone anywhere. Amazing. Just amazing. Alex says there is Admiral Kurd says there has to be some reason they can Connie. Yes, there is. But I can't tell you what I have heard. But hopefully, because I do think gamers, I don't think they deserve to know anything. But I think it's a fascinating story about why. Like, I was listening to a little bit of the new Sacred Symbols today. It may have been Plus. No, it was Sacred Symbols. And Chris Raygun was saying, this is the Sony story will make a great movie in 20 years. And he's not wrong. Hopefully it won't take 20 years to come out. Ackle says you already told us it was because of factions. Well, sure, that played a part, but it's not. There's details that are relevant, and people are kind of assuming this is correct. I don't know if it's correct, but I think it is. Assuming it's correct, it's not like, oh, she fucked up with factions. Whatever. We'll see. Maybe a journalist can get some people to corroborate it, and they can have the data, and then they can publish it. When Evil Lurks is going to be tomorrow. We're watching that tomorrow. Sean Layden, John Garvin has been here. Jeff Ross has been here. Sean Layden will not come on the show. Connie might, but I doubt it. She's very, unless she's done with it all, like done with the industry, and she's got enough money to retire and just say, fuck it, I don't think we'll see Connie on here. Because she's a real, she is smart when it comes to her career, and coming on this show at this point, Alexa, stop, will not help. I'll interview myself. Yeah, there you go. All right, fellas, listen, that's Gabbin' and Games. I will be back later. I'm going to change the thumbnail so it's not, people going, what the fuck? But I need to take a little break. I'll be back later tonight with some Alan Wake 2 streams. And in the meantime, and I'll be back tomorrow. Oh, let me tell you what I'm doing. Hang on. Okay, so let me make sure. Saturday. So they're asking, Gaz says, hey, come on the show. So I'm going to be on Iron Lord's podcast Sunday. I may be on Game On Daily Saturday. And I'm going to watch the movie with the members on Saturday. Halloween special is Monday. So what I may end up doing is taking Tuesday off because I might need a break. But anyway, that's what's going on. But I'll be around a lot this weekend. So, okay, fellas, be well, be safe, enjoy the weekend, and I will see you guys very soon. Mods, thank you very much. New members, welcome. Old members, thank you so fucking much for the support. And follow, and click our, what's that thing called? The link tree. And, go give your wife a pickle tickle, or your husband, or whatever it is you do, and be well.
Everybody hates you, and I'm glad your husband died.
Spencer! Spencer! Spencer, baby, let's go! Yeah! a huge bitch.
You shut your goddamn whore mouth.
Pornography destroyed my life.
I would like to rear up and jackknife my legs and kick you both with my foot bone.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Come on now.
Everybody hates you, and I'm glad your husband died.
Daddy,
Probably
chill.
killed himself.
Boo-hoo! Boo-hoo-hoo!
You mean you have to use your hands? That's like a baby's toy.
That's a huge bitch. Gaga.
I'd love to get like a sex worker who's a gamer.
Jesus, man.